Hello, everyone. I'm just going to go ahead and dive right into this week's discussion board. So the best way to answer the question of how I would explain rural social work is really going to start with being able to describe rural culture and behaviors at the various levels of practice. So according to our text, describing rural populations can be difficult as it goes beyond just geographical location and population size. Daly actually states on page 17 that rurality does not exist solely in small towns, villages, and the countryside. The presence of rural culture is evident in large cities, medium-sized towns, and suburbs. So this is going to mean that rurality is more of a mindset and a set of values that one holds. And this is actually going to probably be the best way to approach and define rurality, as it's going to take a person and environment approach, and our book kind of talks about this on page 14. So various rural cultural values may include having a strong sense of being attached to the land. So for example, land is a large economic feature to many that are a part of this population. And this is due to farming the land and even raising livestock. Another value is going to be having strong familial relationships. So our book actually kind of gives an example of this by saying that rural people are actually going to be more inclined to have their family members watch their children rather than have their children go to a daycare. Another value is going to be having strong connections to local institutions. So oftentimes in rural communities, local institutions such as schools are actually going to be used to house outside activities, just because there aren't a whole abundant amount of other facilities that can be used. They may also have a strong sense of community. So this is going to include having a strong helping network, being personal, and just having open communication with one another. So for examples, neighbors helping neighbors, and just everyone knowing each other's business. It's a small town. Everybody's really close connected. Everybody knows everybody somehow, even if they don't fully know that person. And the list of values kind of continues on to reliance on traditions. So an example of this might be a parent teaching their child how to sew instead of going to the store and buying something new. And then lastly, they have a strong sense of being self-reliant. So this could actually be an issue for a social worker going in, as they might be reluctant on receiving outside help. And then all of these values are actually going to be found in chapter 2 of our book under rural values, ranging from pages 37 to 45. These values are going to be what shapes rural culture and what can really determine if someone identifies with this culture. So now from a micro level perspective of work with this population, it's going to be really working with that individual and doing this by being a competent social worker. So in order to be a competent social worker with this population, it's going to be really understanding their culture and how it impacts the individual they're working with. And it's going to be important that the social worker is showing respect to this culture. So this could look like understanding that their language or terms may look different. And Daly actually uses an example on page 46 stating his pilot light isn't on, or his pilot light isn't lit. This is going to be a common phrase in maybe certain parts of rural areas. And so understanding that phrases might look different. Another thing is going to be understanding that their recreational things that they do may look different also. So in the rural areas, they might be more inclined to go hunting or shoot guns. And this could be different from somebody who's maybe from an urban area who's not really used to that. Food choices might look completely different. Music and arts might look completely different. So they could be more craftier into folk music. Health and wellness may be viewed differently. The book does discuss how there are many people in this population that might be seen as unhealthy due to sticking maybe to an old-fashioned diet that their modern work just doesn't keep up with. Now, our book does do a great way of breaking down all these aspects. So a social worker coming in could be working with an individual's mental health or just helping them obtain proper resources. But regardless of the need, the social worker must be respectful, as this population can be hard to engage with since they do not trust many outsiders. Now, meso-level work with this population could be taking a deeper look at the family unit, which this population tends to expand by including neighbors and close friends. This could be greatly used to benefit this population, and it is going to be crucial for social workers to understand how to use this as a strength when working with these clients. So some of the services one provides at this level could be setting up family support by getting neighbors to help with childcare or even help out with some transportation and things like that. Now, when it comes to macro level work with this population, it's going to be important that social workers understand the power structures, the community's identity, heritage, and common work accomplished in the area. So when a social worker understands all of these influences, they're going to better be able to understand the possible strengths that lie within the community as well as deficits. So areas where maybe the social worker can help bring change, whether it's helping set up better transportation for the community, getting people connected to better health care, those kind of things. And then this leads to the beginning question of what is rural social work? So rural social work is going to be similar to that of urban social work, as Daly states on page 5. The approximately 19% of the population living in rural areas today is not an insignificant minority. And this is a group, even if declining in percentage, that has at least as great of need for social welfare services as those who live in cities. And then Daly even goes on to state that some of the social welfare services that are needed. And he actually states on page 5 that these factors in small towns create difficulties in finding affordable and adequate housing, access to services such as healthcare, and even difficulty in getting an adequate diet. So this means, just like in urban areas, there is a need for this population as well. And whether that is helping get individuals in this community connected to proper healthcare, or even helping advocate for more affordable housing. Now, the key is going to be building positive relationships with both individuals and the community as a whole. They tend not to trust outsiders, as I've previously stated, and so their guards are kind of up. So as a social worker going in, it's going to be important to understand their values and really show respect to their cultural beliefs. Thank you.